listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, getting into the week here, and we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on out there, and just like we did for yesterday's show, we're going to do news for about half an hour. Then we're going to open up the phone lines so you can comment on the news. Then we'll close the lines and do another half hour of news, and then open up the lines for the rest of the show so that you can, again, comment on what's going on. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. So let's get right on into it. Boy, oh boy, it's amazing, how Governor Cuomo's past has come back to haunt him. And apparently a third woman has gone public claiming that Cuomo made unwanted advances toward her, and she has provided photos and text conversations to back up her claims. Now, what's really interesting is nobody wanted to go after Cuomo for what happened in those nursing homes, but boy, are they going after him for the sexual harassment issue. And New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is out there slamming Cuomo for saying he was just joking when he made these inappropriate remarks. And he's, de Blasio is saying sexual harassment is not funny. Now, at the same time, we have to understand that women, and for that matter, men, have been conditioned over the last decade to respond to any casual flirtation as if it's the gateway to being raped. And sometimes I think that hypersensitivity can really make relations between men and women that much more difficult. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton has apparently turned her back on Cuomo and is now backing a full investigation into the sexual harassment allegations, saying that all New Yorkers deserve answers. So they're really going after him. New York's Attorney General Letitia James is promising to release the findings of the Cuomo sexual harassment investigation once it's completed. Meanwhile, Cuomo has hired a criminal defense attorney. So this thing is really heating up. Donald Trump Jr. has now called on the publisher of Andrew Cuomo's book, asking if they should cancel it in light of the recent scandal. So, it's interesting to see a member of the Trump family engaging in cancel culture. And this has raised another interesting little question. This is a story that came out of Blabberbuzz, asking if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gave Joe Biden a pass on sexual harassment just to get rid of Donald Trump. Because remember, there's Tara Reid, who alleged President Trump sexually assaulted her years ago. And she is now calling out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's treatment of her compared to her support of the now three Cuomo accusers. So she's out there saying it's sheer hypocrisy, and she's right, it really is. Okay, former FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before the U.S. Senate today in his first testimony since the U.S. Capitol protests on January 6th, and he came out saying there is absolutely no evidence of fake Trump supporters at the U.S. Capitol. He's basically saying that Antifa and Black Lives Matter and left-wing groups did not play a role in what we saw happen on January 6th. Of course, Christopher Wray's credibility was destroyed long before this. Now, Wray has barely acknowledged the existence of Antifa and almost appeared to choke back the word when it came up in the legitimate conversation, the questions and answers here. Eric Trump is out there complaining about how the legal system is being weaponized against the entire family. He's saying that he's received hundreds of subpoenas, including ones for his children who are 1.5 and 3.5 years old. So it's lawfare, full on, trying to bankrupt him with legal fees. Getting on over to the White House, the Biden gang is already getting into deals with Ukraine. $125 million of your taxpayer money is on its way to Ukraine right now to improve the country's ability to counter Russian aggression. And the package comes roughly 7 years after Russia was accused of annexing Crimea. And again, a reminder, Crimea voted to secede from Ukraine following the installation of Poroshenko. Then they voted again to merge with the Russian Republic. So there was no annexation. It's a piece of propaganda that is constantly being recirculated, and it is complete nonsense. This story is a little bit alarming. This is coming from National File. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirmed yesterday that President Joe Biden will not be holding a live press conference in the near future, despite having been in office for over a month at this point. And this is raising eyebrows, especially after Biden's performance down in Houston, where he appeared confused. He mispronounced Democrats' names. At one point stated he didn't know what he was doing there. And it's looking more and more like Biden's mental condition is deteriorating even more rapidly than a lot of people were expecting. We're hearing that his Secret Service detail is leaking bits of information about his deterioration. We're getting other reports that Kamala Harris is already in the bullpen warming up for an eventual installation into the Oval Office. Getting onto the issue of election fraud, the Supreme Court is showing their double standard. They're agreeing to hear a case out of Arizona that would put new limits on voting rights lawsuits, but of course they refused the Trump campaign election cases. So the Supreme Court is definitely compromised and on the side of the vote riggers. Meanwhile, down in Georgia, their House of Representatives passed an omnibus bill that would reform a range of election rules, including absentee voting, voter ID for absentee voting, time limits for voting, and so forth. It was a 66-page bill, House Bill 531. It passed the Republican majority chamber on a party line vote of 97-72 and is headed to the Georgia Senate. This prompted an immediate response from Democrats who protested outside the Georgia state capitol, over this idea of requiring voter ID for absentee voters. Because after all, it's harder to cheat when you have to prove who you are and where you live. And this voter ID issue really is very silly. You need ID to drive a car. You need ID to buy alcohol or tobacco. You need your ID certainly to buy a gun. But the Democrats are saying, no, you don't need an ID to vote. It's racist. It's absolutely racist. Now, they're still pushing that. Meanwhile, down in Texas, Medina County Justice of the Peace Thomas Ramirez was arrested last month along with 3 others, and they are facing 150 charges of voter fraud, including 1 count of organized election fraud, 1 count of assisting voter voting ballot by mail, 17 counts of unlawful possession of a ballot or ballot envelope. And so, it's still happening out there. They're still trying to dig this rot out of our system. Getting into other news, we're coming up, on the trial of George Floyd, the police officers who shot George Floyd, rather, and prosecutors want to reintroduce a 3rd-degree murder charge against Derek Chauvin, who was the police officer who basically shot from outside the building and hit George Floyd. So they want to go after him for 3rd-degree murder. We reported earlier that Minneapolis officials had hired 6 locally popular social media influencers to broadcast messages to try and calm things down during the trial of Derek Chauvin. And this triggered a huge backlash. It had a budget of over $1 million. But it hits such severe criticism from all sides that they have now canceled that project completely. Okay. Let's look at what's going on, because it feels like we're heading to a crisis. And, you know, we've got these wars are escalating all over the place. We have all this racial tension here in the United States of America. And we know that if there is any incident that would justify the president to declare a national emergency, then there are certain executive orders that would be automatically triggered. And you really need to take a look at some of what these orders are. Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take control over all modes of transportation, highways, and seaports. Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Executive Order 11005 allows the government to take over the railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. Executive Order 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. I mean, it's an instant dictatorship. Executive Order 10998 allows the government to take over all food, resources, and farms. Executive Order 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians, that means you, into work brigades under government supervision. Executive Order 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. And basically what it all comes down to is these executive orders grant the president total dictatorial control over the country. It's just this trap that's waiting to be sprung if there are like nationwide riots or anything that would justify the president saying we are under a national emergency right now. Little bit of lighter news. Last Sunday were the Golden Globe Awards, and their viewership fell 60% from last year alone. Something I think it was like 5.4 million viewers. And that's actually less people than watched President Trump's CPAC speech online. So I guess the American people are just getting tired of these entertainers who think they have become our social leaders and directors, and they just tuned on out. And I don't watch those award shows anymore myself either. All right, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. Some new developments there. Florida now has the COVID variants from Great Britain, Brazil, and South Africa. And Houston has become the first U.S. city to detect every super COVID variant, including the homegrown mutations from California and New York. And this is being bandied about to remind you to get your vaccination and wear your masks and yada, 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 yada. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson is already working on a booster shot to defend against super COVID variants. As its CEO says, the first doses of the one-shot vaccine will be injected into arms between 24 and 48 hours. So they're really pushing that out there. And I understand that Johnson & Johnson and Merck have now entered into some kind of a partnership regarding the development of these new medications, gene therapies, and so forth. Over in Great Britain, 220,000 British subjects signed a petition against vaccine passports. This is going to force a debate on the topic in Parliament. Remember 6 months ago when everyone talking about vaccine passports was denounced as a conspiracy theorist? Well, the conspiracy theorists were right again. And it'll be coming here. I mean, it's just a new form of control and tracking you. And papers, please, let me see your papers. And it's pretty ugly out there. Again, over in Great Britain, there is a new scandal emerging that members of Parliament and SAGE, which is the organization that is keeping track of the COVID-19 progress, if you will, are all heavily invested in the vaccine industry. Imagine my shock. So they're out there basically saying, their decisions were being made in interest of increasing the price of their stock rather than what was really best for the general population. It's all about the pound sterlings. This next one is a little bit scary. It's coming out of Natural News. Over in Utah, doctors have discovered something rather worrying in recent mammogram screenings taken at the Breast Care Center in Salt Lake City. Women who were recently injected with these experimental COVID gene therapies suffer from abnormal inflammation of the lymph nodes in their breasts. And this is a symptom of breast cancer. Now, nobody knows if they're going to come down with breast cancer or not, but they are definitely showing the symptom. And a lot of people are very, very concerned about this. With this gene therapy approach, adverse side effects, which some are showing up rather rapidly, but there could be adverse effects that don't show up for months, maybe even years, or they may not even show up until the next generation. Again, going on back and looking at the thalidomide scandal. Over at CDC, the number of vaccine injuries reported to the CDC after the COVID vaccines climbed by nearly 4,000 in just 1 week. About a third of the deaths reported occurred within 48 hours of the vaccination. 48% of the people who died became ill within 48 hours of being vaccinated. So something is unfortunately not working there. Story coming on out from the Gateway Pundit. They're pointing to new evidence showing that the United States government and the American scientific establishment were involved in a cover-up of the true origin of COVID-19. And according to this article, financial interests and the scientific establishment have never wanted the true source of the COVID-19 virus to be revealed, despite the fact that its laboratory origin was suspected early in the onset of the pandemic. And I was one of those out there saying somebody dropped a test tube. But apparently there is now evidence that elements within the U.S. government coordinated with selected members of the U.S. scientific community, no doubt with the blessing of international business and the media, to protect China from responsibility, and in doing so, protected their own interests. Now, there may be another aspect to protecting China, because we have been seeing these other reports that the Wuhan Virology Laboratory was involved with the National Institutes of Health in the U.S. and similar institutions up in Canada in what might have been weapons research. Over in Israel, Netanyahu is saying that Israelis may need to get a COVID vaccination every 6 months. And I wonder how much vaccine stock Netanyahu currently owns. Israel's considering expanding the vaccination program, with the possibility it will expand the mandate of the green passport system beyond the initial 6-month period. Everybody is using this for their own political or economic agenda. Also from Israel, they have rolled out what's called a freedom bracelet, and you should be worried with a name like that. It is a tracking device, and it's being presented as an alternative to a 2-week quarantine for anyone entering the country from abroad. And the device looks like a smartwatch. It's being produced by a company called Supercom, which has previously worked with governments of several countries on systems to track and monitor prisoners. Oh, enjoy your little freedom bracelet there. All right, we're coming up here on our first commercial break, and when we come on back, more news, and then the phones will open at the bottom of the hour. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone.
Welcome back to our show. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs your continuing support in order to go on keeping the American public fully informed so that they can make good choices. And first of all, thanks to everybody who has been donating to Republic Broadcasting. I wish I could say it's enough. It's not. We need more. And I'd be down on my knees begging, but getting back up off my knees would require a chain hoist. So once again, that postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And don't forget, if you mail in a donation for $100 or more, include your t-shirt size and a return address, and you'll get one of the official RBN t-shirts and the appropriate bragging rights appertaining thereto. And don't forget, the front site deal is still going on. Righty, getting on back to the COVID-19. Over in Germany, whistleblowers are coming forward to say that 8 out of 31 residents in a care facility, that's 26% of the patients, died after taking the Pfizer vaccine. And it all started with this video in German that attorney Rainer Fuhrlich published with a whistleblower who works in a nursing home. And since the interview came out, other whistleblowers in Germany who work in nursing homes have also stepped forward. Some of them have video footage showing residents being held down and vaccinated against their wishes. So it's really getting ugly there. Story that just came in over in Sweden. A professor has quit the researching COVID-19 following fierce backlash over his findings that the illness poses a low threat to children, which undermines the political argument that schools cannot reopen. Okay. The World Health Organization has come on out saying it is unrealistic to expect the pandemic to be over by this year. So that's why they're talking about wearing the masks into 2022. And remember back in March of last year when they were saying, it's just going to be a 2-week lockdown to even out the cases for the hospital. And here we are in March of 2021. And we're still somewhat locked down. There's definitely a pushback happening right now. Another article that is touching on something that we have talked about a lot. This is from LouRockwell.com. And it's basically claiming the number of COVID cases has been faked in various ways, but the most extensive strategy is relabeling flu cases as COVID-19. And the definition of a COVID case basically would also apply to influenza. There's nothing unique about the definition. And we already know that that flu is reportedly almost non-existent in this country this year, with last month being normally the peak of influenza season. So, yeah, it does appear that a lot of cases of ordinary seasonal flu were claimed to be COVID to keep those numbers up, to keep the fear factor going on. This next story actually relates back to the one about the Swedish epidemiologist who just quit. Head teachers in 2 primary schools in England have written to parents this week requesting that children, 5-year-olds, wear masks in the classroom when schools reopen on March 8th. In the masks here. In a little bit of good news, and this was all over the net earlier today, Texas has reopened 100%, no mask mandates. This basically starts tomorrow, where the Texans can go about just proudly displaying their real faces to everybody. And as I mentioned the other day, even though Governor Holcomb here in Indiana has the mask mandate going on till the end of this month, we're seeing just a lot of people just not bothering anymore. Just really just not bothering. A psychiatrist has claimed the ongoing coronavirus pandemic has caused the world to suffer from mass delusional psychosis. This is coming from Dr. Mark McDonald, and he said the true public health crisis is not the virus, but the fear of contracting it. And he is saying this highly irrational fear is going to have a lasting effect on children, since their own parents and grandparents are responsible for instilling that reaction. So Dr. McDonald cited a December 2020 article written by S.G. Chia for EV Magazine, and her article mentioned a number of otherwise irrational behaviors that have become normalized in the current time. This includes parents being kicked off planes because the children would not wear masks, and people having hysterical meltdowns when they see somebody without a face covering. And we're going to take another break for commercials. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines, area code 512-248-8252, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Jim in Montana. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. Oh,
yes.
Man. I hope your callers are starting to get excited when they start to hear me on the show. I bring the goods.
Okay.
I think you've seen that a time or two. Everybody thought I was whacked out of my mind. Everybody thought I was crazy. When
Can't imagine why they would think that.
Ashley, I know, right? I said last week, Ashley Babbitt is alive and well, and that shooting and the part where they had an agent had shot her and whatnot.
Yeah, the Capitol policeman.
Completely.
Okay, Jim, we're going to have to respectfully agree to disagree, and we're going to switch over to Mary in Virginia. Hello, Mary. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother from Indiana.
Yes.
How's Santa Claus doing?
Well, we don't have the tourists we'd like to have over here, and the last snow just melted, so barring something unforeseen, it looks like spring is actually starting to show around here.
Amen. Amen. Don't you love it?
Yeah.
The seasons.
Well, yes, very
Yes,
much. I mean,
sir.
in Hawaii, we only had 2 seasons: hurricane and tourist.
Yeah. No shit. If
Please
you have one.
watch your language here.
Oh, pardon me, sir.
Okay. So, what's on your mind?
Bacterial pneumonia.
Okay.
Most of the masked people are getting bacterial pneumonia.
Yes.
And do you understand teeth are like prevalent to health?
Yes, I understand that deeply. I'm dealing with a little of that myself, but that's all going to get taken care of this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I was going to give you a big time money to take care of it, but I'll give you money for other things, right?
Okay. All right. That'll be fine.
'Cause you understand truth, right?
Well, I understand facts. Truth very often.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. I want the facts. Just the facts, ma'am.
Yes, truth, facts. Correct, sir. How is Claire?
Claire is doing wonderfully well. She's, across the hall in her office, working on music.
What kind?
Mostly, she's involved in this local religious community, and she's writing music for their praise choir. And if you go over to mellowphilia.net, which is spelled with a PH, you can listen to the music she's worked on throughout the years.
This ain't homophilia, is it?
No. Mellowphilia means, a love of music, passionate love of music.
Oh, that's cute. You want to hear about the GABCs?
Yeah, we actually have a story in our talking points about it, but go ahead and share it because this is something. It's part of the indoctrination of school children that I am not pleased with.
My God, can you believe it? A, Ellie, B, bi, C, coming out, D, drag.
Yep.
Is that insane?
It's very insane, and like I said, I'm an easy, kind of guy here, and whatever consenting adults want to do with each other, and a camel is fine with me. But we've got to take care of the kids, and this is not taking care of the kids.
Children.
Yeah.
I call them children.
All right. Well, we'll use your terminology.
Like some people call him Huashe. I call him Jesus Christ. I don't call him Huashe, whatever the hell.
You mean Yeshua?
I do not believe in calling him anything but Jesus Christ, my Lord.
Okay.
But anyhow.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm listening to you. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. We're waiting for you. Do you have anything more for us?
I'm waiting for you to talk. I thought you were like stuttering. Hey, you know that oh my God, what is his name? Steve Elkins. He is a smooth talking guy.
Yes, he is, and he's very knowledgeable. And we're glad every time
you're the most.
Our show, and of course, Mondays.
What you don't understand is how intelligent you are and what a gift you have. Steve is fantastic, but you are beyond, comprehension.
Thank you. I mean, you should have seen my intelligence, before decades of substance abuse. I was really something impressive back then.
What do you mean?
That was an attempt at humor. But yes, I know I'm intelligent. I used to belong to Mensa, and I did score very high on intelligence tests. Mensa is a social club. Mensa is Latin for table, and it is an organization, a social club for people with high IQs.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. Well,
I mean, gotta watch that language.
I have many offspring with that thing, but they're dumb as shit.
please, Mary, watch your language here, and we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to switch to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I got your joke like right away.
Okay.
Didn't take very long because I do have an IQ over 140. Anyway, I sent you an email, a link.
Yes.
And lo and behold, it's from the CDC, genome surveillance for SARS-CoV-2 variants, which is what they say causes COVID-19. Viruses are constantly changing, and this includes SARS-CoV-2.
Yes, they mutate. Especially RNA.
We already know that.
Yeah.
So right there is no cure.
There's no money in cures anyway. I mean, they're making their money with constant treatments and vaccinations. That's where the big bucks are.
You mean genome therapy?
Well, that's the new buzzword. And as long as they can get everybody to take it, they make much more money.
Yeah, and of course, these things haven't been tested over a long period of time. And a lot of bad things can happen. Unforeseen things can happen, right? What do they call that? Blowback.
It definitely could. In fact, I'm looking at this other story where so far 34 cases of pregnant women have undergone miscarriages or stillbirths after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. This according to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. And we're hearing more of the same coming from Europe.
I think we're going to hear a lot more about that. And infertility, right? I think this was, just the way things are going.
Yes.
And the simple fact that, of course, flu numbers are down.
Yes.
They're
almost non-existent.
Cold.
Yes.
Cold, just the common cold. I mean, this PCR test, I don't even like talking about it because I know it's such a joke because it's not a diagnostic tool. Anyway, so let's just say they run it for 30 cycles and they pick something up. What are they picking up? How do they know what they're picking up? What are they comparing it to?
As I understand it, they're basically looking for a pattern that suggests a coronavirus. But as I understand it, the PCR test would also show positive for influenza or the common cold.
Yes.
And they say, it's COVID-19. That's the buzzword.
Yeah. And number 8 chromosome.
Yes.
If you keep running it, which every human on the face of this planet has.
Absolutely.
So, so in actual fact, I mean, we've gotten to the point now where this is just crazy. And the problem, you know what the real problem here is, Mike, is a lot of people watch TV incessantly.
Yes.
They read the paper. They buy the paper.
Yeah.
When I say paper, I mean like a newspaper, right?
Yes.
Or they're on Crackbook on their cell phone. And we, of course, know that, all that Crackbook or any social media is all about is collecting your data, monetizing it, and then using that money against, you. But no one really, I know so many people that have no idea about any of this. They don't know what the PCR test, they don't even know who Carrie Mullis is.
Yep.
They have no idea what's going on. They don't even know that all of these central banks all over the world have just created all this currency right out of thin air because they basically locked down the economies. They don't even know this stuff.
No, they don't.
And that's the real
there
problem.
are still too many people who, it's almost like the Matrix. Their impression of the world is what's coming through these computer screens or TV screens, which are these days about the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have, like in your country, that this Dr. Fauci throw to save his life. He's 80 years old. He's been doing this job for over 40 years. He's the very definition of the deep state. He's actually, his salary is more than the United States president.
Yes.
And he literally daily changes his mind, whatever he does, and moves the goalposts.
I think he's writing his press releases with a dartboard.
yeah. Guess who the board is?
Yes. We are.
Right? It's society. Yep. And if anyone is paying any attention whatsoever and seeing this, they understand that there's something going on here. This is not right. And people are deathly afraid. Mike, I'm seeing more and more people driving and walking on the street wearing a mask. It's insanity.
I agree. You know, I mean, my car, you know, I take my mask right off because, you know, and, you know, these days I try and make it entertaining. I get funny masks and stuff like that. So, you know, try and get a reaction.
Masks in my country are mandatory.
Okay. Well, they're mandatory here in Indiana until the end of the month.
Well, they're mandatory, like citywide, right? They're cities and townships and whatever. They're the ones that create these, you know, these little bylaws where you have to wear a mask here and there. You know what I'm starting to do now, Mike?
Yeah. I'm
starting to just as I'm leaving a supermarket, before I even exit the door, I take my mask off. I won't put my mask on until I'm in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, and you should see people looking at me like the horrors. And once in a while, I'll look at them, the ones that are really scared. I said, you know, you got a bed to hide under, right? You know that. Like, this has gone beyond the point of being ridiculous.
If you're going to try and change people's minds, you know, you have to know when they're ready to look at objective evidence. And you have to do it in a way where their defensive mechanisms don't kick in, because people, they tend to build their identities around their beliefs. So it becomes part of their personality. So when you challenge those beliefs, they react as if you have insulted them personally. And hopefully you don't get hit.
Oh, I know, Mike.
Yep.
Well, I know. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely not. And I've actually been accused of it a few times in my life. Don't you believe in anything? I said, yeah, I believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all I know. So, anyway, originally I called to talk about COVID. So I had to get a sticker. Like up in Canada, you have to get a sticker for your license plate every year, right?
Okay.
It's one of these taxes. And it's supposed to be used to repair the roads. Well, anyway, I go into Service Canada,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's a government-run building, and I went in a small town because I can't do it where I'm living. Anyway, so I'm in there a couple minutes. Nobody's in there, and no one's around. So finally, I said hello, and someone comes out. This lady comes out. She got no mask on, and you know how they have that Lexan. You know, the plexiglass, you know, it's maybe, like 2 feet, right? So you can put your hand under. I mean, you can reach. And I said, where's your mask? Oh, well, I'm enclosed here. I said, you're enclosed in what?
Yeah.
Said, seriously? What are you enclosed in? And she goes, well, it doesn't matter. What are you here for?
Yeah. Okay.
I laughed. I said, yeah, that's what I was expecting, especially from a government employee. You realize you work for me. My taxes pay your wages, right? You know that, right? We got into it for a little while, but anyways.
Government workers don't like to hear that, by the way.
Well, no, they think they're omnipotent, and we work for them, like the taxpayer. Anyway, that's all I got. I hope, I gave you a little chuckle here and there. And, oh, by the way, you know what I don't like hearing, Mike?
What don't
I don't
you
like hearing people call in. No, it's not you. You're magnificent. I don't like people calling in and then saying that because they make a donation to RBN or you, that they deserve more airtime or something like that. I heard that last week.
No, It doesn't work that way. I mean, we appreciate the donations, obviously, but how much airtime you get is directly proportional to the quality of the call and the information contained therein. And I hope everybody comes to understand that.
Perfect. I'm glad you said that, Mike. Anyway, I got to go because you're going to have more callers, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to go to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. Actually, Mark, I'm going to have to take you through the next commercial break. So get started now, though.
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. One was what's going on in Texas. That is such good news. I just heard it, read it.
It is good news. And I'm going to put you on hold. I got to put you on hold. Okay. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate. I want to do just what I
will not be mandated. And let's see. I am sending signal. Okay. Okay, it's good now. All right, well, the joys of live radio here. Okay, Mark, just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, I was very happy to hear that, and I'm very seriously thinking now of moving back to Texas. I was just on the phone talking to the people at the gym I belong to, saying is this mask mandate still in effect while working out? They said yes. I called Planet Fitness to see if that was still the same. That's because of this creep of a governor in North Carolina. I don't know why a governor would have so much power in the first place. And the lieutenant governor and the legislature are basically red governors. They're basically they are Republicans, and yet they let this little creep push his weight around. And I think what happened with Abbott, by the way, in Texas is that's what Alex Jones seems to think this too. And the people, I think he was shamed at the CPAC conference by Governor DeSantis of Florida and Governor Noem of Christie Noem, who made a great speech, an awesome speech. I was watching it online yesterday. It was, it wasn't live, but I was watching online. Governor Christie Noem of South Dakota.
Yes.
The only governor who never closed the business during all this stuff. Everything remained open in South Dakota. And I think Abbott was shamed by them into doing this because he was one of these people who were pushing the masks like crazy. And that is, and on top, like I said, all businesses now open. And I just wanted to ask you about what you said about those executive orders before. Were they just signed into effect by Biden, or were they there before?
Oh, these go all the way back to Richard Nixon. And subsequent presidents have signed additional executive orders, all of which are to be activated during a national emergency, and collectively together it basically establishes a complete dictatorship of the United States in the event of a national emergency.
How could Congress and the courts let something like this exist? I mean, this is asking for trouble. All right, then don't people...
Well, that's why they did it in little tiny pieces so that nobody would notice. Now, Congress has 30 days to review every executive order, and they can vote to overturn it. But in this case, they simply weren't doing their jobs.
Well, thank God we do have states' rights here, and hopefully the states are ready to take something. Well, I don't think all states are, but you see what's happening in Texas now. This goes totally against what Biden and his cronies want, and I think that hopefully states' rights will lead the way, even if it comes to secession of a number of states or a splitting up of the United States, because we can't keep on going like this.
Yeah, we can't.
It's just too bad. And people
all righty. I'm going to have to let you go. There's the music here, and we're going to take one more phone call after the station identification break, and then we're going to be closing our phone lines and getting on back to the news. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's legal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show, hour number 2. We're going to take one more phone call left over from the last half hour, and then we're going to close our phone lines. So let's go to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, thank you for waiting. What's on your mind today?
Yeah. Hi, Mike, and thanks for taking the call. Listen, I'm just curious if you got to listen to that interchange between Tucker Carlson and Naomi Wolf.
I heard of it. I didn't actually get to watch the entire video, but give us the highlights.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, she just talked about how the vaccines and the whole COVID thing. You could tell that she thinks it's a bunch of baloney.
Yes.
You know how it's really it's taken on the face of Italian fascism and authoritarianism. And what I wanted to tell you is that if she just got suspended from Twitter yesterday for talking about it, but
yeah,
there's a lot of liberal people, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that are totally sick and tired of this. They don't want to take the vaccine. They don't believe in it. And they don't believe in, the COVID. They're talking about just like what you're talking about, the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Max Blumenthal's another guy. Even Naomi Klein, who wrote the book on disaster capitalism. But nobody's went as far as Naomi Wolf out of San Francisco. And she's really, every day she was on it, hammering the authoritarians. And they finally suspended her from Twitter. So there is a ray of hope, because they've even talked about uniting with the Republicans, and she's even complimented Republican people as the only people of common sense against the vaccines that aren't tested, that never went through phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 1A.
Yeah, these are not approved treatments. They're being put out under emergency authorization. And I just had a story posted by one of our members at whatreallyhappened.com. It's from Natural News. Apparently, oncologists over at Sloan Kettering are saying that the mRNA vaccines inactivate tumor suppressing proteins, meaning it has the potential to actually promote cancer. And this is something that definitely needs to be looked into. And it's not the first time that vaccines have been linked or have been pointed to as increasing or causing cancer.
Yeah, Mike, when I talked to you last week, your last comment was that you thought you were curious. You thought there was something in the vaccines that they wanted to get into all of us, but you didn't know what it is.
No, I don't know enough about genetics to be able to determine that. But just the salesmanship, the pressure for everybody to get these gene therapy vaccines, in the face of a disease that just really isn't all that dangerous, especially to children. It just raises the hairs on the back of my neck. Now we're seeing all these problems with women who are having stillbirths and miscarriages after getting the vaccination. If there is a sterilizing agent in this vaccine, we're not really going to see it for at least another 9 months to a year, when all of a sudden, people are finding they're unable to have children. Pardon me.
Mike, what does your gut tell you that why they want us to have this vaccine so badly?
Well, my gut just says they want us all to have this vaccine. I really don't know why. I'm just listing some of the possibilities that are out there. We know that a while back, the Pentagon was working supposedly on a vaccine to suppress the function of belief in humans, to be used on Muslims to try and de-radicalize them. And there could be something in there to make us more obedient to authority. The possibilities are pretty much endless. But again, I'm looking at all these women who are losing their babies after getting the shot, and that to me is there's something scary going on here. And now to get this Sloan Kettering research that says they can actually promote cancer, that's not good.
Mm-hmm. Mike, do you think if there's some attempt for the Republicans and Democrats to unite on this, that we could stop it?
Not if they're all in the pockets of the big pharma and the globalists and the depopulation agenda.
I'm talking about the people, Mark. Mike, I'm talking about the people, not the politicians.
Well, we're going to have to convince them that they've been lied to about so many things. And anytime I run into resistance when I'm talking to people, about all this stuff, and I'll say, I'll bet you still believe Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. And that one usually shuts them up because, pretty much the entire population understands we were lied to by the government and corporate media about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. And from there, you can just say, well, how do you know they're being truthful about anything else at this point?
Mike, one last thing. Have you run into anybody on your show that's the pro-vaccine, the pro-COVID vaccine? Because I haven't heard anybody call in on your show saying anything.
Not for a long time, and I honestly cannot remember a pro-vaccine person on this show. Certainly in recent memory. I mean, a while back. I mean, I've been doing this show for almost a quarter of a century, so it might have happened in the past, but certainly not recently.
Okay, Mike, have a good one. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And the phone lines are closed, and we're going to go back to some news here. Again, we're still working on COVID-19 and health. And over at Facebook, apparently people are posting articles linking COVID vaccines to injuries, including death, and it's happening so rapidly, Facebook can't keep up, trying to scrub the articles and close the accounts of the people. And so it's definitely starting to produce a backlash here. Turning now to the international news, interesting little story that came out of Anti-Empire about how Afghanistan buries another empire. And it's a reference to a saying that Afghanistan is the graveyard of empires. The British certainly learned that. The Soviet Union learned that. And the gist of this article is it looks like the United States may learn it because the Taliban could actually win this ongoing war in Afghanistan, which is in its 20th year now. And they're really not making any progress. The only part of Afghanistan they've really conquered and secured is that right-of-way for the oil and gas pipeline that goes all the way back to El Presidente de Unocal, Hamid Karzai, and his group that went to Congress and said, we want the pipeline. The Taliban wants to charge us way too much for the pipeline right-of-way, so we need a more friendly and reasonable government in Afghanistan. And that was really the origin of the Afghanistan war, a pipeline right-of-way. And again, in Afghanistan, a U.S. special inspector, in fact, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction is basically saying billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars have been wasted on building infrastructure in Afghanistan that isn't actually needed or can't be used or maintained properly. And they said that a lot of the buildings, $2.4 billion worth, the buildings built with them had deteriorated or had to be destroyed. It was just a huge, money suck from you to whoever was on the inside of that war. Another story coming on out from Mint Press News. After years of propaganda, American views of Russia and China hit historic lows. And we have been commenting on this all along about the propaganda about Russia. They're still out there screaming that in the next Crimea, they're out there screaming that it was behind solar winds and all this negative stuff about China. And it is showing up in poll numbers of the ordinary Americans who are still, unfortunately, mind slaves to corporate media. Now, Biden is getting ready to impose new sanctions on Russia this week related to the treatment of Navalny and the SolarWinds hack. And he's going to roll out these sanctions this week, penalizing Putin's government and the SolarWinds hack. But there's a little bit of a wrinkle because according to this article in UNS.com, the hack on SolarWinds appears to have been done by a company called Samanage, a company whose software was integrated into SolarWinds software just as the back door was inserted. And this company is deeply tied to Israeli intelligence and intelligence-linked families such as the Maxwells. Oh. Syria has intercepted Israeli missiles over Damascus. That happened on Sunday, according to the Syrian State News Agency. And since the outbreak of the Syrian civil war in 2011, Israel has routinely carried out raids in Syria, mostly targeting what they claim to be Iranian and Lebanese Hezbollah forces, as well as Syrian government troops. But there are no reports of casualties from this most recent strike, and Syria is saying they basically succeeded in intercepting all of the inbounds. A little bit of a whoopsie over there in Israel. This is from Richard Silverstein. And Israel Shin Bet has broken up a ring of Israeli aerospace engineers who earned tens of millions of dollars illegally selling advanced missile systems to China. They basically sold the technology. There were 20 individuals involved in this illegal operation, many of whom had previously served in sensitive intelligence or weapons development roles in the IDF. Israeli media is under a military censorship order prohibiting the naming of China as the nation which was the destination for the missile technology. Okay. The U.S. Navy has handed a new contract to Raytheon for versions of its Coyote small unmanned aerial vehicle configured as loitering munitions, otherwise known as suicide drones. And the new version will basically be unmanned surface and underwater vehicles as platforms to launch drone swarms. So going to be a little buzzing around there. All righty. This is an interesting story. It's been about, 20 years since the introduction of the stealth bomber, the B-2. And I guess somebody lost the blueprints because according to this story, the Air Force is literally having to reverse engineer the stealth bomber in order to make replacement parts. And this is obviously highly unusual kind of assistance. But they're out there trying to keep those planes flying, and apparently whoever was providing the spare parts is no longer in business or no longer on the favored list, and the information to rebuild those parts apparently is not at hand. And by the way, I got an email the other day talking about NASA's Space Launch System and wondering why we don't just start rebuilding the Saturn V. Which was definitely a workhouse launch system. And the reason is very simple. all of the jigs and machines used to make the Saturn V have already been scrapped. And if you're going to have to start from scratch, with something that is using the most up-to-date technology that is available. Getting into the economic news, the House of Representatives has raised the child tax credit to $3,000, but only for 1 year. Meanwhile, Democrats, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, are pushing Biden to give Americans recurring direct payments on top of the $1,400 checks, in his latest COVID relief bill. This is a step toward the universal basic income or socialism idea that has been floated around. The crypto markets bounced back. They regained billions. Bitcoin recovered 15% up, and analysts are saying there's a resurgent mood in the air. Elizabeth Warren is unveiling plans for a wealth tax on all Americans with net worths higher than $50 million. And Democrats are getting ready for when they've passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus plan, which the House passed last week. Now it's headed to the Senate for that one. And obviously, all of the nation's billionaires are going to be on the warpath for Elizabeth Warren because their idea is they should keep their billions and that you ordinary Americans struggling to get by should bear the burden of all the new taxes. Story coming on out from Patriot Rising talking about the global inflation nightmare. And we have been hearing warnings about this for a long time. And if you thought authorities all over the planet could print, borrow, and spend money like there's no tomorrow without consequences, then you were not paying attention. And since the beginning of what we were told is the COVID pandemic, there has been the greatest monetary binge in world history, which is going to cause enormous problems, along nightmarish inflation. They can't find the cash sinks for the surplus cash to be drawn to in order to prevent the rising prices. And when the value of money is tied to nothing, more money is always the tempting solution for those in power. Just crank up that printing press. One of the warning signs that is out there is the economic recovery in China appears to be stalling. And one of the consensus views in 2021 was the Chinese recovery, bolstered by very optimistic estimates of growth in services and exports, but that is beginning to stutter. February figures were very, very weak. And as China goes, so goes the world. And so now the global recovery is in doubt. And these are very rough economic times. And for those of you who are getting a COVID relief check, my advice would be don't rush on out and buy a new big screen TV or anything. Apologies to the electronics industries. Convert it into silver or gold and just stick it someplace safe because we are going to see Weimar-style inflation hit this country. It's only a matter of time. A senior advisor to President Joe Biden is saying the White House will act without Congress to develop proposals for reparations or direct payments to African Americans. This is coming from senior advisor Cedric Richmond. He says, we don't want to wait on a study. We're going to start acting now. I certainly have an issue with reparations. All of the people who were slaves are already dead. All of the slave holders were already dead. Everybody is equally free now, which is to say we're all equally slaves. Just take a look at that 1040 form. And what about the descendants of white people who were abolitionists, or the descendants of white people who, like my ancestors, ran a station on the Underground Railroad? I mean, do we get a discount? Do we get any kind of a benefit out this? Or is this simply another loot one body to give the money to some other body in the hope that they'll continue to vote for them? Righty. Getting into the immigration and naturalization area, Biden has told the Mexican president, we look at Mexico as an equal, not as somebody who's south of the border. So it looks like the North American Union concept is being brought back, where they want to basically erase the borders between the United States and Mexico and the U.S. and Canada. I can imagine the Canadians will be a little bit more resistant to that idea than Mexico will. We have to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more news after these few words.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash. Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. Will Congress pay the piper when all the money's gone? Replace them all, start over.
And welcome back to our show here. We're talking about immigration and the latest news coming on out from NTD.com is that the Biden administration wants to bring deportees back into the United States who have been separated from their children. So in addition to the wide open borders and refugees pouring on in, people who've already been in the United States and kicked out are now going to be brought back in. So this, I think it's a bad policy, but then they don't listen to me anymore. Over at Amazon, they have adopted a rule against books that contain anything the company labels as hate speech. Now, Amazon does not really have a clear definition of hate speech. It appears to be an ad hoc label. And it was only noticed after Amazon recently banned a book that criticized transgender ideology. We talked about that last week. So it's not clear what Amazon means by hate speech. It may just simply be anything that's politically inconvenient, is going to be dropped from the Amazon bookstore. Okay, speaking of books here, you're going to love this one. This is coming out of the Daily Mail in Great Britain. 6 books by Dr. Seuss are going to stop being published because of racist and insensitive imagery. And this was after Biden dropped Dr. Seuss from the Read Across America Day. Now, I am sure that you, like I, when we were younger, read the Dr. Seuss books, and we've certainly seen the movies made from those books. They're very good. They're about teaching young people how to read, and I personally have never seen anything in them that I could construe as racist or insensitive. But apparently, the woke crowd, the politically correct crowd, they're like the witch hunters in Europe. When they're being paid to see witches, they'll see witches everywhere. So the books that are being taken out of print are And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, McElligot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Egg Super, and The Cat's Quizzer. So apparently nobody is safe, not even children's authors. Meanwhile, YouTube has suspended Rudy Giuliani over election integrity policy as well as his nicotine use. Boy, oh boy, I could be suspended for that one. Actually, I just quit recently. But apparently YouTube suspended Giuliani's channel for a second time. Saying that he violated the platform's policies surrounding the election. In other words, if you question whether the last November election was fair and honest, you will get kicked off of YouTube. And apparently they removed content from his channel for violating the sale of regulated goods, which prohibits content facilitating the use of nicotine and the presidential election policy. Now, the nicotine use portion could be in reference to Giuliani's promotion of cigars and cigar companies during his YouTube videos. I'd never actually caught any of those. Article coming on out from Blabber Buzz. Facebook censorship is increasing since the Biden inauguration. I mean, they're all out there feeling their oats. They won. They stole the election. They're in charge now. And a whistleblower from Facebook, Ryan Hartwig, basically blew the whistle on Facebook's pattern of bias and censorship against conservatives in the Epoch Times American Thought Leaders program back on the 28th. Now, Hartwig is a former content moderator at a third-party company that provided services to Facebook. And he made news back in June of last year when he alleged that moderators were told to enforce the social media platform's policies selectively to allow, under certain circumstances, content that demonized the police or white males. So social media has now become as corrupt and propagandistic as the legacy corporate media. Let's see. Michael Burry, is out there slamming Bill Gates as being an out-of-touch rich white man. And it came on out after it was revealed the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is bankrolling an activist educational group that believes math is racist and that arriving at an objective answer is an example of white supremacy. And we talked about that last week. And this Pathway to Equitable Math Instruction organization lists the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as its only donor. So there we go. We had a caller about this a little bit earlier, the GABCs, and a woman had a little boy read from that on a video, and the social media backlash was, to put it gently, intense. All right, we got to take another break for commercials. We're going to reopen the phone lines, area code 512-248-8252, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. Decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? Preacher man wags his head while the
And welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Keith Rogers. Keith, welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Well, I got one thing there for you, Mike. You know where Klaus Schwab says that by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy?
Well, I know he says that. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is, it's one thing to look at how the government shut this country down as part of this New World Order thing, but the countless articles about the end of private land ownership and the Fed buying up everything is that, the American dream used to be, getting married, having children, getting a home. And now everything that a person has worked for all their lives will be taken to pay for all this UBI stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So it's a weird form of socialism.
Maybe this is what they meant by the third way.
Well, yeah, but I just think of the fact, you can bet those billionaires aren't going to be losing any of their stuff like that.
Oh, no. They're in their own private little club, and they they definitely want socialism is for the great unwashed.
Right. So anyway, I decided I'd pass that on there because even the UN is talking about it. New York, California. Again, imagine you. I'm just going to say this: my father left me my home.
Yes.
And then suddenly, you're not going to own property anymore.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So, anyway, my best. You okay, Mike?
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Joe in Nome. Hello, Joe. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Sorry, I must have got cut off yesterday. I don't blame you, and I don't want to talk about Edgar Mitchell. Over at iceagenow.info, they have an article saying overnight last night they had a massive earthquake swarm in Reykjavik. And they haven't detected any movement of magma, but they're really worried. Over 1,000 tremors overnight there, and they've already got lots of seismometers there, but they're talking about getting more. Have you ever reported on the Gackle Ridge? The underwater mountain range in the Arctic Ocean?
In the Arctic or Antarctic?
The Arctic.
The Arctic. Isn't it an extension of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which runs right through the middle of Iceland?
Correct. Yes. Apparently, some submersibles, remote ROVs were sent down to check this out, and it turns out it's more active than it's ever been, as far as we know.
Okay.
They were afraid of actually melting the cables on the ROVs.
Yeah, that can be a problem.
Diddy, knock it off. Sorry about that.
We're dog friendly here.
This global warming business has nothing to do with CO2. It has to do with underwater volcanoes.
Well, that's a big part of it. A few years ago, they were trying to blame the El Nino current on global warming. And then scientists discovered that at the point where the El Nino current originates, there are a whole bunch of active volcanoes on the ocean floor. And that's where the heat was coming from. And a lot of this stuff is definitely geothermal in origin.
Well, yeah. I know that. And if it's minus 20 outside and you go out and throw some hot water in the air, you get lots of snow.
Yes, you do.
And by the way, it was my dad that made El Nino a household word.
Okay.
And he didn't believe in global weather, anthropogenic global warming.
Okay.
I don't agree with him on a lot of things, even if he's chief of polar programs for National Science Foundation. But on that, we did agree. But no, he's passed now. 12 years, 14 years ago. But yeah, as a charter member of Alaskans for Global Warming, I'm kind of disappointed in this grand solar minimum. Anyway.
Yeah. You know, we have an organization called Minnesotans for Global Warming that's put out some very charming videos, which you can find on YouTube.
Okay, then. All right. Well, carry on.
All right. I
Thanks
will
a
do
lot.
my
Bye.
best. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to go to Dan in Washington State. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, 2 points real quick. On the vaccine, the mRNA, if you're trying to convince someone not to take that, call it, if they hate Trump, call it the Trump vaccine. And if they hate Biden, call it the Biden vaccine. So I've had success with that, actually.
Okay. Well, I just shared that Sloan Kettering story with my wife, and, she's a little freaked out about it. And I'm certainly going to be sharing this, with my doctor when I see her next week.
Yeah, it's good information. Well, that brings me to my next point, BlackRock versus Bill Gates.
Yes.
Bill Gates is kind of being put I believe he's being put as kind of a punching bag or a front man, even though love him or hate him, I don't agree with everything he says.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to consider BlackRock because as far as how much power they have, BlackRock controls like $8 trillion in assets last time I looked, and it's global. So they own a piece of the media company. They own a piece of the military-industrial complex, the military complex, the medical complex. So, it's just, and the head of that is Larry Fink.
Okay.
So if you compare like BlackRock to Bill Gates, the amount of power, I think BlackRock could actually overthrow governments, as far as overthrowing our election, all these things. I think they actually have legitimately enough power to do that type of stuff. So what do you think about?
Well, they obviously have a
they're
lot
kind
of
of more
financial...
dangerous because.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
they are
sorry.
more dangerous. There's no controls here. We have these billionaire individuals and these billionaire corporations playing around with our societies and our governments, and they're not elected by the people, to do that. And it seems we are in that transitional stage from the nation state to the corporate state.
Yeah, exactly. And that BlackRock seems to be Bill Gates might be a little piece of that, but BlackRock seems to be one of the key players in that. And it is global. They own mining in Europe and Africa and America, and it's very scary. So that was my main point. And it's hard to keep track of those guys because it's like that octopus picture of the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
They just own a little piece of everything, so they're kind of in the shadows there. So, but anyway, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
All right, same to you. The phone lines are mostly open, area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
I heard one of your callers mention an earthquake swarm at around Reykjavik.
Yes.
My wife and I were in Iceland for 3 weeks back in 2019, and of course I had geological maps and whatever, and I studied them, and we traveled all around the island.
It's a beautiful place.
It's not. Oh, absolutely. I'd move to Iceland. I'd move to Iceland in a minute. But the mid-ocean ridge runs both to the west and to the east of Reykjavik, and they're tied together by a right lateral transform fault that offsets the ridge.
Okay.
And and so what happens now is that you get periodic slippage along that transform fault, and as part of that transform fault, moving on that transform fault, that would have accounted for an earthquake swarm there. I'm not sure. They said they didn't detect magma movement, and it's not it's not necessary to have an earthquake there, because you have those faults. You have the spreading edge, the mid-Atlantic region spreading edge, and so you get a lot of earthquakes associated with that. But then along those transform faults, that transform fault doesn't run too far to the south of Reykjavik. You're going to get a lot of movement on that, and I suspect that's probably what it was.
Well, I hope you're right, and I hope they're not looking at another huge volcanic eruption there. But I mean, that's what Iceland is just one big field of volcanoes, and they do tend to yop every once in a while.
Oh yeah. We stayed at a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb right at the foot of the big volcano, the Eyjafjallajökull, they call it.
Yes,
and that's the one that blew its stack several years ago and disrupted air traffic all across northern Europe. But I mean, it's a volcanically active island. It really is.
Oh yeah,
it's a beautiful place.
Yep.
Wonderful people. I say it's the whitest place I've ever been. I wouldn't mind living there. Wonderful people, highly educated people as well. And it has a great Nordic culture. They're all descended from Vikings.
Yes.
They're just wonderful people, just wonderful people. But I suspect that the earthquake there was related to slippage along that transform fault. And if that's the case, that there may not be another one following that for some time. But those earthquakes are really commonly associated with that, and the earthquakes along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge are also very, very common. And of course,
it's very active there as well. And like I said, I hope you're right, because the last thing Iceland needs is another major eruption. I remember that story from some years ago where there was this lava flow was threatening to literally cut off one of their key harbors. And they all got out there with fireboats and anything that they could put a pump and a hose on, and they just kept pouring water onto the approaching lava until it built up a natural dam and kept the harbor mouth open.
Yeah, that might have been over at Keflavik. You fly into Iceland at Keflavik, and it's a harbor. I suspect that was probably the place there. And Keflavik and Reykjavik are, in English, it's about 35 miles apart.
Yes.
So, but Reykjavik is on the water, but it's not a port. Keflavik is the big port there.
Yes.
So I suspect that that's what it was. And there are active volcanoes right there too.
Yes, there are.
Okay, Mike, thanks for taking the call. Yeah.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We got a lot of phone lines open right now. Area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to David in Iowa. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Mike?
Yes.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Yeah, I was at the computer. I don't have a computer at home. I was at the computer a couple of weeks ago, and I was on Dr. Sherry Tenpenny's websites. One of them is vaxxed.com, Vaxxter.com, Vaxxter. And she said in there, anybody that takes that jab within 4 to 14 months will die. And I like a fool, I didn't copy it. I was going to come back, and I forgot it. So I came back on several weeks later and tried to find it again. And where I think I found it, it's been deleted.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's under.
And I'm sure that Sloan Kettering story is going to vanish too.
Yeah, well, that sounds kind of radical until you think some people are taking or dying the day they take it, or the day after.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that you want to talk about population control? Somebody that's sharper on computers than me could go through there and look at that. It's on Vaccines Part 2 Updated. There's a Vaccine 1 Part 1, a Part 1, a Part 2 Updated, and a Part 1 Updated. Go on the Part 2 Updated, and the end of that column, 7 pages, it'll say, look at the list of side effects here.
Yes.
Click on it, deleted. Okay, just wanted to pass that on.
All right. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, that's another reason why I am so worried about, this sales push to get everybody to take this vaccine. And it's coupled, with this very obvious attempt at censorship to silence anybody who might doubt that this highly experimental, not officially approved vaccine, it's dangerous. It's clearly dangerous. The adverse reactions are increasing, and those are only the ones that are being reported to the vaccine adverse events reporting system, or that make the news media. And for all we know, more people are suffering adverse effects that maybe aren't quite as severe, or they don't recognize how severe they are, and so they kind of keep to themselves. But especially when you're tinkering around with the DNA, the adverse effects may take months and years to show up, or may not even show up until the next generation. And like I said, think back to thalidomide. Think back to the swine flu vaccine of 1976. Caution is appropriate when dealing with this issue. And again, probably that Sloan Kettering article is going to get Orwellized as well, because somebody somewhere does not want anybody to discourage people from getting this highly experimental, not officially approved vaccine shot into their arm. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extendivite's 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure! And the Ease Off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease Off LLC, 417-932-6419.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show, last segment of our program today, and we're going to finish up here with a little bit of news. Over in Great Britain, the prescription of puberty blockers to children under the age of 16 has been pretty much barred since last December, unless expressly signed off by 2 specialist doctors and later approved by a court. However, an investigation by the Daily Telegraph found that Europe-based online clinics are using a legal loophole to skirt that regulation. And pharmacies in Britain are still accepting prescriptions from doctors within the EU, allowing online clinics in Europe to prescribe English patients underage with these sex change drugs. That's another thing that is being pushed really hard, and I have to wonder what's going on there. All righty, there has been a court case regarding the Miss USA pageant, and U.S. District Judge Michael Mosman said that Miss USA can't be forced to allow transgender women to participate in the pageant. So it's a little bit of victory for common sense. And so he said he viewed it as an organization that does promote a message and seeks to maintain control of that message. And the organization's stated mission is promoting natural-born females. So a little bit of common sense there. And you know, it's a sign of the crazy times we're in that somebody actually sued, some guy actually sued the Miss USA contest to be allowed to enter. And it's just, I'm sorry, it's just, it's out there here. All righty, Joe Biden is looking at a new era of green imperialism. He signed another executive order on tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. And Biden is declaring his administration aims at putting the climate crisis at the center of U.S. foreign policy and national security. And I think any sober observer of today's situation will agree this is a piece of insanity. But then we're kind of aware that Joe Biden is a few Big Macs short of a Happy Meal at this particular point. One of the interesting links that we put on whatreallyhappened.com today, the Perseverance rover has 2 microphones on it that have been used to actually capture what it sounds like to be on Mars. Mostly it sounds like wind blowing, and of course the noise from the rover itself. And so if you hunt this link down, there are 2 playbacks. One is just the unfiltered sound from the microphone, and the other they have worked to remove or reduce the noise from the rover itself so you can hear the wind. Now, the Curiosity rover had a microphone as well, but it was damaged during the landing, and which is really unfortunate here. All righty, so there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It is more urgent than ever before. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.